Yes, hello, howdy. Oh, fucking hell, mate. Right, let's just get into a few things. It's like, innit? I suppose it's like the weekend, like, review, right? Even though it's Tuesday, but is what it is. Yeah, just another weekend filled of ping pong, wasn't it? Just a weekend of just ding, ding, ding. Premier League football is exciting as fuck, right? Granted, so I'll give it that. It's a blockbuster movie, isn't it? The Premier League. It's like fucking Marvel, all the Marvel guys, all the DC guys, everyone's like, just fucking each other up. Mistakes everywhere, and it is exciting, right? But when I hear everyone talking about how like great, like people say great in terms of games, right? And like, it's just annoying because greatness is like levels, isn't it? Like, in my opinion, it's like you've reached a certain level, right? Not just chaos. Chaos is exciting. Like a barn burner, two guys in boxing just standing in the middle of the ring and just fucking going for it is really exciting. And I'd always tune in to watch. But it's not what I want to base my love of a sport on, right? The crude, exciting element of anything should be valued and objectively like evaluated. But there's so much more to sport, and especially football. And I feel like the Premier League's kind of cut off a piece of itself and fell in love with its strengths. I think that's probably the best way to say it. I think the Premier League fell in love with its strengths, and I think that there's definitely a footballing philosophy that fits in with the increase in how dynamic the Premier League is. But I feel like the amount of mistakes that you see, it's not like chess anymore, right? Because there's so much the tactical element. I feel like it's like checkers now. It's quick, multiple move. It's so direct, and I feel like even when I watch a game like Newcastle and Liverpool, it's exciting to watch. But like it's like hot. It's more of a. It's exciting to watch, but because of the amount of mistakes that are in these games and the amount of transitions, I just feel like there's a part of it that's missing. Maybe that's just the way that I've grown up watching football, but I enjoy I do enjoy the slower paced game if it gives me other elements tactically and technically that I don't see in the Premier League as much, right? It's just so much risk taking in the Premier League. But I feel it's so chaotic, and I feel like the style that teams are trying to play, the majority of teams don't have the personnel to hit the heights that the majority of teams just don't have the personnel. And again, that leads to real exciting games. And also I feel like these formations now that the modern day teams are playing, I think they suit the like mid-level teams the best, right? Because mid-level, like mid-table teams, I think that's why you're seeing like the Villas and the West Broms and the Villas and the West Hams and etc. And last season you have your Brentfords and whatnot. So you have these teams, these kind of like mid-level range teams, and I feel like modern day tactics works best for them because they still have enough quality, being like a mid-table top league side, They still have enough quality to be able to execute, but it also like I feel like modern day tactics it leveled out the playing field a lot more, and I feel like that's playing so aggressively, playing with 2-8s, real high pressing, and ending up in that kind of like 2-3-5 or however you want to kind of like configure that formation. I feel like it's benefited the kind of like mid-range teams a lot more. It's a lot less based on. That's not very good English. It's based less on ability and technical ability, and it's about obviously like positional play more so than ever before. And it's more about like positional, like defending and attacking space. And I think the idea behind modern football is to be so organised, be so aggressive and dynamic, and attack space and defend space in like real clever ways that when you actually get into certain positions, there doesn't actually have to be a lot of individual ability and technique displayed to get you in like real good positions. And some of the like, perfect example of that is Manchester City, where there's obviously this real aggressive nature to their game, but the majority of technique that was being executed, majority of the time, is actually like really simple stuff. And that is obviously the hardest type of football, I suppose, to play, right? To synchronise 11 men to be able to play such beautiful, simple football. But yeah, I feel like the modern game, and that's what's giving us these more competitive scenarios now in the Premier League. Less based on talent and ability, and way more on organisation and what you do with space, right? So yeah, that's kind of just my overview of the Premier League in general. I don't know. It's just doesn't really hit it for me. I mean, I enjoy the competitive, how close. I'll look at the league and I'm like, oh yeah, good Premier League, and it is good seeing. But it's not one of them. You see just everyone losing to everyone all the time. Yeah, it's good and it's competitive, and it's always fun seeing a top 6 side lose apart from your own. But like, I enjoy seeing a team like methodically break another team down. Like, I enjoy seeing a fighter methodically break down another fighter. Like, there's something actually like art gets put back into the sport, right? Like, it's synchronized like movement, and there's so much beauty that can be like extracted from a football game or from a football player or from a specific passage of play. I just feel like the way that society has become more neutered, so is football. And I feel like, yeah, I leave most weekends waking up on a Monday or whatever, a Tuesday today, feeling like underwhelmed and not really feeling like I've seen. And it's not like I don't need step overs and fucking tricks, just more considered play, more. So I just like seeing 11 players in a team taking care of the ball, or 22 players on a pitch taking care of the ball. And when possession is lost, it's actually a problem. Not like, we'll get it back in literally 3 seconds, boys. Don't worry about it. I feel like the reason why everybody's so... Like, if you pressed so aggressively back in the day, I really just do think that more than half of the times that you're pressing so... Like, no, maybe even more than that. Back in the day, in the early 2000s, right? Back in the day. But yeah, say like whatever, 15, 20 years ago. I feel like if you're pressing so aggressively, man, like the press is getting beaten. Players were just too good at actually playing through the thirds. I really feel like midfielders would just absolutely destroy you back in the day. So you just couldn't be pressing so high. But yeah, just in regards to we need a forward, right? Manchester United, we need a forward. We got this guy who they basically took Erling, fucking Silver Sterling, Haaland, yeah, took him, and then they took McTominay, put him on a fucking, locked him in a room, and we're like, listen, boys, you ain't coming out until you know what's happened. Oh, fuck. And then out of McTominay and Erling Haaland's good time, their little love child is born, Rasmus Højlund. That is the perfect way to describe Rasmus Højlund. Haaland and McTominay just in one. And that makes us now need a striker because Martial's leaving. Martial's injured. Like, Martial doesn't care now. Like how everyone thought Martial didn't care for so many years when he did. Now, I can finally agree that he doesn't give a fuck, right? Because he's leaving. So we've got one striker, Erling Højlund. So we're looking for another one, and which makes sense. And we're looking for defenders because we need defenders because injuries, Varane leaving, Johnny Evans is old, Magwire shit still. So we need those two positions covered, right? Or we need additions. But the problem is that while that is true, if you add a centre-back and you add a striker, we will still play exactly the same, and our striker will still have real problems scoring goals, and we still won't be able to transition up the pitch. Even though we need those two positions filled. But if you were to buy an advanced number 8 to play in one of the two advanced midfielder positions, then that can transform the way we actually play. The way that when Martinez comes back, it will have a massive impact on how we play, right? Whether the players around him can keep that level that he will be able to bring, that's a different story. But Martinez coming back is fucking massive for United. He's literally the most important player, right? Was the most important player last year. Is the most important player. We were wank when he wasn't playing last year. We're wank this year when he's not playing. It's fucking obvious, right? But us signing a number 8 would have the biggest impact on this team. The way this team plays, the way this team operates. It would make Rashford play better because we would have a number 8 that would be able to receive the ball in those difficult, tight areas centrally and actually be able to pivot and turn and bring other players into play and turn and then look to play in. For example, say we had a number 8 that was really good at actually playing football, which we don't have any of those, but receiving the ball on the half turn, and then you had wingers, say Rashford on the left, right, and he had ultimate confidence in his player, because that's what it comes down to, having confidence as the ball is getting moved around the pitch. You've got the enthusiasm and trust that this sequence is going to keep getting repeated, and it's getting repeated with quality, so you're going to be enthusiastic to make those runs constantly. That's the difference between someone that looks like he doesn't care and someone that looks like he's dying for the badge. I promise it's that simple. So if you've got a number 8 that's receiving the ball and there's more of a set, like inside left channel, but actually receiving it, not taking the piss and getting out wide onto fucking Luke Shaw's toes, yeah, and trying to take that as receiving it in a dangerous area. So if a player's receiving it in that advanced number 8 role, let's say on the left, so we can attach Rashford into this narrative. Rashford then can make his run actually through that inside channel, and he can be narrower and he can start that run earlier because of his confidence in the midfielder actually be able to execute a turn, a control, a turn, some awareness, and a simple slide rule ball, right? So those advanced 8s will, with ability to retain possession and be composed in those areas where the best players operate, right? So that would instantly get your wingers thinking. So, like I just said, it'll get Rashford and whoever's on the other wing, it would get them making runs that we just don't see right. We see maybe these runs, or like making these runs. We see Rashford making runs for the ball over the top, right, all the time. And people say, like, look how great that movement is. It's lazy, isn't it? Because you know that I'm going to make this run. I'm moving, right? So people see me sprinting quick. And I make the run, and then if the ball comes over, I'm golden. There's loads of space for me. The ball either runs through to the keeper, no problem for me. I made my run. Good run, Rash. Or I get the ball, I've got time, and then I can execute like what I do, right? In open space on my own with the goal in front of me, right? But Rashford's never looking for making a run inside the left back for a ball that slid through, right? On the floor, it's very rare. So our midfielders they're making runs across full-back, centre-back, or just for straight balls over the top. Whereas with decent advanced midfielders, you can be more intricate with the runs you're trying to make, right? So you'd have those slide rule balls going through. Also, another thing that would happen is when, say, Rashford or whoever's the winger on the other side would receive the ball on the touchline, because that's what happens most of the game, right? Receive the ball, play it back out. When that repeated process would be happening over and over again, there'd be options inside, because these midfielders would offer options in tight spaces, right? And good midfielders in those positions, they will ask for the ball in difficult spaces and then execute easy technique. Difficult in terms of positionally where they're occupying, but then they will execute easy technique, right? Our midfielders do the complete opposite. So Bruno will go looking for the ball because he doesn't want to receive the ball in the areas where he's fucking positioned. He doesn't want the ball there. And Scott McTominay doesn't want the ball there. So if no one wants to receive the ball in the most fucking important attacking areas of the pitch, you're never going to get to the fucking goal. You're never going to get the closest you're getting to the fucking goal is when the ball's getting recycled out wide and you're slightly crabbing your way up the pitch. But we're not even good enough as we're recycling the ball out to punch it in, get it back out. Punch it in and get it back out. There's no one to fucking punch the ball into. When Man United are trying to advance up the pitch, you watch it and it happens every game, almost every phase of play. Bruno Fernandes is signalling like this, wide, get it out, on his side. He doesn't want the ball there. He just doesn't want it. He wants to start attacks where he'll drop onto the fullback's toes, receive the ball, and do exactly what the fucking fullback was about to do. That's what he wants to do. Or, as the move is progressing and we're getting further and further up the pitch, he's signalling to get it out wide and he's beelining for the fucking box. So he actually does nothing of what a number 10 should be doing in terms of play, right? Forget your goals and assists. We're on about, do you function as a number 10, as in the traditional functionality that a number 10 needs? So attacks function, so we actually can build pressure in the final third. So an advanced 8 would change how we play the most. Martinez coming back, Casemiro coming back, and buying an advanced 8, an advanced midfielder who is incredibly comfortable on the ball, who can beat a man and turn with the ball. You would get enthusiastic wingers who have options when they come inside, who also know to make the runs because you will be there. You're not 50 yards away pinging a ball over the fucking top. you're facing up the centre backs and you're looking at Rashford dead in the eye for him to make the run. We don't have that ever. That never happens. When do Bruno Fernandes and Scott McTominay receive the ball and face up the centre backs? Because then you've got Anthony coming in. Say if Bruno's on the left inside channel, Rashford making a cute little 10-yard little run to maybe look for a little slide rule pass. Then you've got Anthony on the other wing. Because if you're fucking centrally coming at the defence there's fucking so many options, man. The centre forward's interested. The centre forward isn't just trying to fucking pin the centre back or look for balls at the top. The centre forward starts to come. And you can look at it the other way around. If you've got eights that drop in or that occupy these pockets in between the lines, the centre forward isn't going to constantly keep dropping. And then you do actually play with 3 up top instead of 2 wingers wide as fuck and then a centre forward not knowing where to be. You basically don't have a front 3. Do we need a centre back? Yes. Do we need a striker? Yes. Should we sign to Debo? I don't know. Probably. I don't know. Do I ever watched him? Fucking no, mate. Who watches fucking Nice? No one. But I've seen clips, yeah. Technical and strong. You know what I mean? Just keep it at that for now. Tadibo in. Cool. We don't have any money, but maybe Tadibo comes in. And then we get a striker in. But nothing is going to change. We have cover, right? So we have cover. But nothing will change. Some people say nothing will change with this manager in charge regardless. But like, that's a mute point. That's like another discussion. But signings in January, we need to figure out what's wrong with our supply chain, right? Starts with Onana, ideally ends up with our centre forward or one of our forwards doing something worthwhile, right? Are our forwards is the supply chain even getting to our forwards? No, not really. Are we giving our wingers the ball in dangerous scenarios, right? Are we giving them the opportunity to make runs and then be rewarded by 10, 15-yard movements? And the answer is no, right? And why can't we get a foothold? Why can't we recycle the ball? Why can't we sustain pressure in the final third? Because we don't have those 2 8 central players that can recycle the ball. And then they glue together everything in these modern day setups. They are so important. And we have 2 fucking donkeys. Is Rashford a donkey? Yes. Is Haaland a donkey? Yes. Is Anthony a donkey? Anthony's just fucking confused. Anthony's confused. He ain't as fucking terrible as he is playing and looks, right? But the idea is that they're all donkeys, right? Everyone's a donkey. You sort out the nucleus of those teams, those 2 advanced eights, and a lot gets sorted out. Yeah. And I don't know, but maybe one last thing, and then I'll just leave it for today. Yeah, one last thing about Onana's interview, and I just saw there's a few things about him saying how. But he was talking about obviously all the stick that he's getting and all the bollocks that's going on with Onana and Man United in general and his performances. And I rate that he's like confident about himself and he's like, this happened before, like I don't care, whatever. But he said one thing about Inter Milan. He was on about last season, and that's fair enough. You had a great season and you played really well, right? But he said, I had the same thing at Inter Milan last season at the beginning. I had all this criticism. It happened there as well. And he was saying it as though like, oh look, it happened there. Don't worry about it. It'll all be fine. And even though I understand his philosophy there a little bit, I understand what he's saying. But the reality is like if you're in a relationship, say if you get with a chick, right, you get with a bird, and then you go out like the first month and you just fucking everything, bringing chicks back, fucking dropping the food, dropping the fucking everything, right, fucking everything up. But and you're like, babe, listen, bro, it's fine, because the last relationship I had, I was fucking everything up for the first 2 months, but then he was sick after. And she's going to be like, bro, what are you even on about? Like, I don't give a fuck if you fucked up before and then you turned it around. I care that you're fucking up now, bro. I don't know how well you got yourself out of a hole into Milan. And also, by the way, it happened at Ajax as well, because I've seen interviews of him when he was at Ajax, and the Dutch just grill you after the game. And he was having to defend himself there as well. So the three clubs you've been at, you just shit in it at the beginning. I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? To continuously kind of like go with that. Just like, we get that you're like confident in yourself, or you believe in yourself, right? And that's obviously like probably a big, massive reason why he's got to where he's got, I feel. I need a piss. But yeah, I don't know. There's not actually like that many fucking games on, is there, like this week? It's just weird winter breaky type. Well, we have a little winter break. The other teams have a winter break. So you've got like West Ham, Brighton, Valencia, Villarreal. That's tonight. Tomorrow Madrid are playing, PSG are playing, Girona, Atletico Madrid. Thursday, Everton, Palace, and the FA Cup. Barca are playing. Yeah, so it's just like bits, man. Not ideal. But yeah. You only got 2 games, I think, in January. So we've got Wigan and Spurs. I don't know, man. I think Ten Hag definitely sees it out January. I don't think that's a problem at all. I feel like he sees it out to the end of the season. There does seem to be this exodus of players with high wages, and I feel like that's probably like a massive thing that's hampering Manchester United in the transfer market recently. I don't think it's been that much of a problem forever, but I feel like as fans, there's things that we have to be patient with, and then there's things that we don't, right? There's a lot of things that have happened on the football pitch that we shouldn't be patient with. A lot of team selection that we shouldn't be patient with. But I feel like, yeah, the exodus of overpaid, or like players that are getting paid too much, even though if they might be valuable, I think that's just where it's at, right? De Gea, what we've seen with Varane, which is basically the exact same thing that was going on with De Gea. I think the Casemiro thing might be slightly different. I think he may end up actually just going to Saudi. I think Varane might end up staying on less money. And then obviously you have the Sancho thing. You had Ronaldo before. Like, it's a hell of a lot of money that are going off the books. And I feel like you get Magwire off the books in the summer as well. Like, we're talking that's like basically every one of our highest paid players, apart from fucking Rashford, man. And I feel like it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because we're on this charge to rid our squad of these high earners that don't deserve it. And then as you're doing that, you give Rashford like 400 grand a week or whatever he's on. It's a mad concept, isn't it? And understand that we could have lost him then for free at some point, blah, 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 blah. But as you're putting out the fire, throwing fucking buckets of water over this, let's get this fire out, boys. Then you just like lighting fucking firecrackers at the same time. It doesn't. I get it, but it kind of. It's about the players aren't stupid in a squad. They understand the politics, and us trying getting rid of all the high earners. Meanwhile, signing the likes of Hoyland for big money, giving Rashford big money. I think you kind of like lose some people, man, along the way when you're doing things like that. Players are sensitive. Elite level performers are sensitive. They know their worth. Yeah. But anyway, catch you tomorrow. Try and do a daily show and ramble on a bit more tomorrow. Anyway, peace.